Good morning, guys, and welcome back to Sparkmanhomestead. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Krista, and if you've been here before, welcome back. So right now I'm getting some planning done. I have a lot of cookbooks out here, and I'm just trying to get some ideas what to do with my pears and apples. In last week's video, you've seen that I got some pears from Azure Standard. I'll show you what they look like right now. I need to get them used because they are now starting to ripen, and they're starting to ripen really, really fast. So this is what they look like right now. This took, I think, maybe 2 days, 3 days for them to get like this. So we need to get them used because they will go really bad really quickly. I can put them in the fridge to kind of slow down this process, but I really don't have fridge space and I want to get them used right away. Normally, I don't show you guys this process. I usually already have it done before I turn the camera on, but I wanted to show you kind of what's going through my head right now on ways that I can preserve these pears. Now, I'm also getting ideas for my apples because, again, last week I showed you I have that box of apples. Those apples will last a lot longer than those pears will. So today's project is going to be pears. So I have 3 fun ideas that I think I want to do with them. The first idea is I want to make a pear sauce. So very, very similar to like an applesauce, but I'm just going to be using pears instead. The second one is just pears in a light syrup. I don't like to do a heavy syrup. Those pears are already super sweet. I've been snacking on them for my lunch and they are delicious. They are super, super sweet. So we're just going to do a light syrup with those and then maybe put some cinnamon in there. And then the third idea that I have to do with these pears, it is in this cookbook and it is on page 143. So the recipe came from me looking at the pears and syrup recipe. I'm actually not going to use this cookbook for the pears and syrup. I am going to use this cookbook to do my pears and syrup because I can actually raw pack them, which is way easier. In this ball book, it does suggest to hot pack them. That takes a little bit more steps, so I just want to do the raw packs. When I was looking at the pears and syrup recipe, there is a variation below it called Pears Exotica, so I'm going to try that. It sounds really interesting. It actually says that this would be a really good dessert after a heavy meal, or this would be really good to put on some meat. So we're going to give it a try. So we're going to do pears 3 different ways. Stay tuned for next week because I will be doing apples next week. I was going to do them both on this video, but I thought that's going to take forever to do all of those recipes. If you guys have any fun ways that you preserve your apples, not just like the standard applesauce, because that one, I already have applesauce on my shelf. I want to get some fun ways to preserve apples. So if you guys have any fun ideas, please leave them in the comments below and then maybe we could try them next week when we do our apples. Okay, so I need to switch my glasses. I have on my blue light reading glasses. And these are my glasses that I can see in normally. Whenever I'm doing anything on my phone or on my computer, I switch my glasses to my blue light ones because they're just better for my eyes. Plus it gives these ones a break because these ones are kind of stretched. I need to go and get some more glasses. It is a rainy, cloudy day. Oh, it's so fall-like outside, but you know what's loving it? My green stalk is loving it. All the peppers that I need to pick, loving it. And my carrots and spinach that are over there, just love the rain. We are in desperate need of it. The ones that are not a fan of the rain, right there, they have been complaining all day. Yesterday was rainy too, and they just are not happy. Okay, let's bring these in here so that we can get them started. The turkeys are not happy in general right now. They're actually in a little bit of a timeout. I have the most funniest turkey story to tell you guys. So a couple weeks ago, we had them in like a huge electric fence that was 48 inches tall, which is perfectly fine for most birds. want to specify most birds. We had them in this electrical fence, and I came out one afternoon. I was hearing a whole bunch of like rustling going on because I normally am in my kitchen and I normally have my kitchen window open. I love the breeze that comes through, and then I can just keep an eye on stuff going on in the backyard. Anyways, I heard a little bit of rustling, and because the turkey coop was kind of like over this way, I couldn't see it from my kitchen window. I came outside. There was a turkey that had managed to get out of the fence. This is an electric fence with 8,000 volts of electricity. Now, turkeys have feathers, which acts as an insulator, but if their face touches it or their feet touches it, they're going to get zapped. Anyways, somehow this turkey managed to get over the electric fence. And once it got over the electric fence, it somehow held the fence down so that the other turkeys could get out of the fence. I came outside and this turkey was holding the fence down so that the others could walk out. So then after that, I just said, okay, I can't have them in the electric fence because what happens if I am busy doing something and I don't notice that, I don't hear the commotion, and those turkeys end up near the road? Then the turkeys are going to get hit. So the turkeys are actually going to get processed next weekend. So for the last couple of weeks of their life, unfortunately, they're confined to that little area. I do move them at least twice a day, so they have access to fresh grass twice a day, but we just can't have them in the electric fence anymore because they'll just escape and they'll help other turkeys escape. I couldn't believe it. I really wish I would have had my camera on me so I could have videoed it because it was the most comical thing ever. I was like, this turkey is legit helping other turkeys escape. And I couldn't figure out why it wasn't getting zapped because, again, it was an 8,000 volt fence. But I think because he had managed to knock the fence down, the fence was grounding out and probably not giving him as big of a zap that he should have been getting. Anyways, that's why they're locked up. So they're just not happy in general with life right now. So I need to get my pancakes put away. I am experimenting with some recipes right now. These look like flat cakes. They are a high protein pumpkin pancake, and I'm just experimenting with a couple of different recipes right now. This one is not the best. As you can see, it's very flat. It tastes okay. It's just not a puffy pancake. It doesn't have any baking powder or baking soda in it, so that might be why. It's got cottage cheese, it's got lots of eggs, it's got pumpkin. You can use oatmeal in it, but oh, actually I better leave the bag open because it's starting to condense up. I need to let them cool down first. The recipe called to use oat flour, but I am not a fan of oat flour. My body doesn't agree with oatmeal. I've tried gluten-free oatmeal, I've tried regular oatmeal. My body just doesn't like it. It gets inflamed when I eat it. So I just use some freshly milled spelt flour in it instead of using oatmeal because they're very interchangeable. But again, I got to work on it a little bit. Okay, so let's get dealing with these pears. What recipe do we do first? I think we should maybe get started with the pear sauce because that does have to cook down for a little bit. The other nice thing with all of these recipes is they're all water bath canning, so we don't need a pressure canner to do it, which is great. I'm going to use my biggest stock pot to make this pear sauce in. I'm debating whether we should order another box of pears because I don't know if this is going to make enough for us for the year because we're doing 3 recipes. It's 20 pounds of pears. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking this might be a little bit of overkill for our pear sauce. I think we'll use a smaller stock pot. This is usually why I do all of my prepping before I turn the camera on because otherwise you guys are just coming along for the whole journey with me. Okay, so what do we have to do first? So, oh, this is the cookbook that I'm using for this. This cookbook is becoming my favorite cookbook. I think I've showed you guys a couple recipes out of this, and it is really good. This that maple jam that we did, that's from this cookbook also. I'll link that video for you guys. That maple jam is delicious. Okay, so it says to use tart apples. We're going to do this with pears, so we're not even going to use apples. So 8 pounds of pears, water, cinnamon stick, and sugar. I just want to double check something because, oh yeah, the bottom here, honey. Okay, prepare as directed except substitute honey for the sugar. Stir in 1 cup of finely chopped. Ooh, we might make a variation of this pear sauce. So in this cookbook, there's a variation that says it's a ginger honey applesauce. Ginger and pear go very well together. So I think we're going to do that instead. So it says prepare as directed except substitute honey for the sugar. That's what I was reading to see if we could actually do that substitution. I don't really like to use sugar in my preserved stuff, so we'll use honey. And then it says to stir in 1 cup of finely chopped crystallized ginger before ladling into jars. I don't have crystallized ginger, but we have a whole bunch of ginger because we need to do a ginger preserving. I want to make some pickled ginger. That's not today, but I do want to make some pickled ginger. So I bought a box of ginger from Costco. So I know crystallized ginger is like sugared. It's going to be experimente. There's another variation here too that looks good. Browned butter and sage applesauce. Ooh, that might be good to do next week. Okay, let's get these pears chopped up. So we can leave the skins on them because we have to run it through the food mill. So that's going to make this super easy. We do need to chop them. I don't think we're going to use 8 pounds. Maybe we will. Okay, I need to change it to pounds. Okay, let's measure out 8 pounds and see how many pears we're left with after the 8 pounds, because again, we have 2 more recipes that I want to make with them, and I want to make sure we have enough pears to do all 3 activities with. Plus, this is a new to us recipe, so I don't want to like make a whole bunch of this sauce and have it not be delicious. Okay, that's about 8 pounds right there. And that's what it leaves us to do the sliced pears with. I think we're not going to use the full 8 pounds because I'm feeling like I want to have more pears than that to do the sliced pears. I don't need a lot of pears to do that exotica pear recipe because that's a new one. And I don't even know if I'm going to can it or not. That looks good. That's 6 pounds in there. So we'll do 6 pounds. Actually, we need to wash these first. Once we get them chopped up, we will put them right into our stock pot. So we don't really have to cut them up too much. All I'm doing is I'm just cutting them, and then we'll be taking out the seeds and the cores and then just halving that. I can't believe how fast these pears got ripe. Like within 2 days, they were completely soft and ripe. And now they're starting to even go bad. Some of them are super soft. I guess because they're super ripe, it'll make for fast cooking. They'll soften up really quick. I think I'm gonna save all of these cores, and then when we do the sliced pears, the peelings, and I'm just gonna make a vinegar with it, kind of like you would a apple peeling vinegar, but I'm just gonna do it with pears. I'll show you guys how we do it at the end, but I'm not gonna throw them out or compost them. I wouldn't throw them out, I would just compost them, but we're gonna make vinegar with it instead. And I do enjoy using the scrap vinegar to make salad dressings with. You could also use it to make marinades. You could use it any way you would use vinegar except for canning. It's not necessarily safe to can with because you can't guarantee that it's at that 5% acidity. I guess if you have testing strips, you could check and see if it was at the 5% acidity, but I just don't play around with that. I just use the vinegar from the store. I'm gonna be canning. Okay, so I'm just gonna get a 1/2 gallon jar and we're just gonna start to put the scraps in that just instead of putting them in the sink. So I went in my pantry because I was pretty sure I had 1 more jar left of my spiced pears. These are from 2022. They are still perfectly sealed. They look perfectly fine. I am going to just put these pears into that sauce because they're kind of mushy, just because again, they're from 2022. They're still perfectly fine. I just tasted one. It tastes fine. So I'm just gonna pour these in here and then that will actually bring us up to our 8 pounds. Okay, so let's stir this. So we put those other pears in there. So it's gonna have a cinnamon taste just from those spiced pears that we added in. We need to add 2 cups of water in there. This in here. And then I'm actually gonna add the ginger right now because we're gonna be running this through the food mill. I don't wanna have big chunks of ginger in it. So I'm just going to put it in here. That way I can food mill out all of the peelings and I don't have to worry about peeling the garlic. So for this amount, this probably should be enough garlic. Hopefully it's not too much. It's experimenting. And I'm just gonna rough chop the garlic in here. This is not garlic, this is ginger. Definitely do not use garlic. I would strongly recommend not using garlic with this. So I'm just gonna take these pieces and just leave them pretty big, and that way the flavor infuses with it, and then we can just food mill out all of the chunks after with the peelings. And then we'll just stir those pieces in, stir that water in, and then we will get it on the stovetop. Okay, and then we need to bring this to a boil. I'm thinking this is gonna make my house smell really good. This is better than burning one of those fall scented candles. Way better. We're at a boil now, so let's move to the next step. I'm just gonna stir this a little bit. Okay, so we need to bring the heat down to low because we just wanna simmer this. We wanna simmer this for about 30 minutes. We also need to put a lid on it. Actually, we need to simmer it for 35 minutes. While that is simmering, we are going to get our simple syrup made for our pears. I do not want to cut these pears up yet because I don't want them to go brown. We are going to put them in a lemon water mixture just to keep them fresh while we're getting the canning process done, but I need to have my canning jars on there, but we need to make the simple syrup first. So we need 3/4 cups of sugar and 6.5 cups of water to make this simple syrup, or this canning syrup. I'm just gonna use an organic cane juice. And get this put on the stovetop, and we're just gonna cook it until the sugar is dissolved and it is nice and hot. Once that's done, then I'm just gonna put it on one of the back burners, and then we'll get our canning jars on here getting warmed up, and then we can get the pears all sliced. So again, we used 3/4 cups of white sugar, and then we also used 6.5 cups of water to make this syrup. There's different levels of sweetness that you can do when you're canning. I am choosing to do an extra light one because these pears are very, very sweet. You could do a light one, which uses 2.25 cups of sugar, and it goes all the way up to heavy. Heavy would be 4.5 cups of sugar to 4.5 cups of water. So that is just pretty much pure sugar, which this fruit doesn't need that. If you're canning something really tart, then maybe you would want to use like a medium heavy sauce, but I've just done it with extra light. That's what I do my peaches in. That's what I do my apples in. I really like to give the fruit an opportunity to just have that as the sweetness when I'm canning versus sugar. Keep stirring these just to make sure that they don't burn on the bottom, which they won't because that water in there is not gonna let that happen. I'm hoping we used enough ginger in that because I can't really smell the ginger. But you know, if I go and add more ginger, it's probably gonna end up being like really overpowering. So we'll just stick to that and have it to be a nice hint in the background and not overpowering the sauce. The next thing we need to get done is we need to get these pears peeled. I'm gonna get a lemon juice water mixture ready so that we can put the peeled pears into that, and that way it prevents the pears from going brown. You can also buy like a fruit preserve. I think Ball makes one where you can add it to your water and it keeps your fruit from going brown, but you could use citric acid, lemon juice, any of those things helps it from going brown. We'll just use some lemon juice. Probably going to use about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice in here. That's good. So this sugar is looking dissolved. So I'm going to turn this back little burner on, and I'm going to turn it to about a medium low, and we'll put that simple syrup on there. That way it can stay warm, but then it's not going to come to a boil because we don't really want to boil it. We just want to keep it warm. And then we will bring our water bath canner. And we have some pint-sized jars in here already. So we're gonna bring this and we're gonna bring these jars up to a heat so that we can put those pears in the hot jars. Because that simple syrup's hot, we need to have the jars already hot because we don't want the jars to break when we put the hot syrup in. Okay, so we're gonna get peeling pears now. And I'm gonna be very careful with it because some of these pears are so soft. So when you're canning pears, you can can them whole like this, or you can can them in quarters, or you can can them in chunks. We are gonna can them in quarters. So I'm just gonna take the pear, just slice it in quarters, and then I'm gonna take the inside out of the pear because I don't wanna can the seeds. So we'll just cut that out, and then we'll just put them into the lemon water. And that will prevent them from going brown while we get them all peeled. And then again, we're gonna put all of our peelings and stuff in this half-gallon jar. When you're canning pears, you probably don't wanna let them go this ripe. You want them to be not firm. Like when I got these pears, they were definitely too firm to can. You want them to be just ripened, so not super soft. Like I'm feeling these are actually a little bit too soft to can, but we're gonna make do. I didn't think they were going to go that soft that quickly. Some of them are just falling apart. We have all of our pears peeled and cut and left into the lemon water. This is now done. So what we're going to do is we are going to take our food mill and we are going to run those through the food mill. Off the heat. Ooh, that's hot. It's still really watery, but this will thicken up because we're going to add some sweetener to it. Take our applesauce or our pear pieces and we're going to run it through the food mill. Definitely need to put more than that in there. Put a couple scoops in. Okay, that's good. Then I have a clean bowl because this bowl isn't big enough to hold all of it in. I'm just going to take it and dump it in here. And this is what we're left with, the pulp. I'm going to give this pulp to my chickens. You can definitely save the pulp and the skins and stuff and dehydrate them and make other things with them, but my chickens will enjoy these. And then we're going to keep going until we have all of these milled up. I rinsed this pot out, so it's a clean pot now. So we are gonna clean this counter off for a second. I don't want to get the pot on this sticky mess. So we're gonna put all of the sauce back into the pot. Very runny right now. Needs to thicken up a lot. So we are going to use honey in this recipe. Now the recipe says to use anywhere from 3/4 to 1 1/4 of sugar, but the ginger recipe just said to substitute the sugar for the honey. So we're gonna just add in a little bit right now, do a taste test, and then if we need to add any more, we'll add a little bit more. So we're just gonna kind of dump like this. I'm probably gonna put in maybe 3/4 cup. The head of the bear. That's probably actually 1/4 cup. That's how much we used because this was full. We'll just use this to just stir it in. Remember, honey is much more sweeter than sugar, so little goes a long way. Let's do a taste test. It's good. The ginger actually is not overpowering in it. I don't want to add any more sweetener to it because those pears are super sweet on their own, and that is the perfect amount of honey to use. So we used that much. It was a full thing, so I would say maybe 1/2 cup of honey we used in that. So we're going to get this back onto the heat and we're going to bring this to a boil. I want to thicken this up a little bit. It is still way too runny for my liking. So we're gonna bring this to a boil, and then once it comes to a boil, we'll simmer it and we'll let it just reduce just a little bit. We have to get our pears canned anyway, so this is fine to reduce while we're canning the pears. So I have that on a medium heat, and we'll bring that up to a boil. That rain is really coming down right now. We're gonna get a majority of these pears put into the light syrup, which is nice and hot. So we'll take that off the heat. And then we're gonna save some of these pears to do that exotic recipe with, but we need a different simple syrup for that. And then we're gonna put the pears into the jar. We need to leave 1/2 inch headspace. Probably fit one more in there. Maybe 2 more. Yeah. I don't need the funnel. It just makes more of a mess with the funnel. And I'm not going to add cinnamon to these. I did that last time and I wasn't a fan of it. So I'm just going to leave the cinnamon out. But if you want, you can add a cinnamon stick to these jars just to give it a little bit of a spiced taste. But I'm not a fan. I'm going to leave enough pears to do about 3 pints of this exotic mixture. We'll get these in the canner first though. I'm trying to be somewhat careful with the pears because they are not super firm. I don't really want to break them. Pushing them down a bit so that I can fit some more in there because they will condense once you add that hot water in there and you can them. I'm trying to be as gentle as possible, but yet fit enough in them. Okay, I think I need to leave the rest of the pears for that other recipe. Now we're gonna take our simple syrup and we're just gonna ladle them over top. And again, we're leaving 1/2 inch headspace. Not simple syrup, just canning syrup. I don't know, sugar water, whatever we wanna call it. To me, simple syrup is like a really thick sugar syrup. We're going to get these debubbled. Just make sure the pears are all in the liquid. And you can do these in quarts if you want. I just did them in quarts last time and that was just too much. This is perfect for me to be able to open and just make like a fruit salad with these or just have them for dessert. You can also use these to make like a pear crisp with instead of like an apple crisp. You can use these canned pears for that. Okay, so there's a couple I had to top up. Need a little bit more syrup in some of them. We're going to get the tops cleaned up because I did make a big mess trying to get the pears in there. So we'll just clean the tops. And we'll get our lids on. We're going to get our rings on to fingertip tight. Get these put into the water bath canner. And then we bring this up to a boil. We got all of our jars in here, so now we are going to bring this to a rolling boil. Once it gets to that rolling boil, we are going to water bath can these for 25 minutes because we raw pack them and we are doing pints. If you are doing quarts and you are raw packing, you're going to can these for 30 minutes. Hot packing times are different as well. So if you're doing pints and you're hot packing, 20 minutes. If you're doing quarts, 25 minutes. So we're gonna get started making the Pears exotica. It sounds so fun. So I washed out my simple syrup pot, so it's all clean now. So we have to make a special version of simple syrup for these. Now I was doing a couple calculations because the simple syrup recipe in here calls for like 5.5 cups of water. We only have about 2 pints worth of pears, so I know I don't need that much. So I quartered the simple syrup recipe and we're using this cookbook for it. The simple syrup recipe is going to be located on page 140 and we're going to use the light version because that's what it suggests to do here. So if we were just making the simple syrup, we would just do water, sugar. But because we are going to make a special version of this, we're going to replace some of the water with some white wine vinegar. So with my calculations, taking everything and quartering it, because I figured that should be enough liquid for us, we need approximately 1/2 cup of white sugar, or if you want to use honey, you can use honey, or you can use whatever sweetener you want. and about 1 more tablespoon of that. So for the water, this is where it got a little tricky. So it says in here to replace 3/4 cups of the water with a white wine vinegar. So if I was just gonna do this 1/4, then I would need 1 1/3 cup of water in here, or 1 cup and 5 tablespoons. So we're gonna put 1 cup of water in here. Then we're gonna add 3 tablespoons of this vinegar and then another 2 tablespoons of water. Sometimes canning makes you use math and I don't like it. It's making me use fractions. I despise fractions. And then we're gonna add another 2 tablespoons of water. And then it says to add a 2-inch strip of lemon zest. I don't know how to get a strip. I don't have like one of those special zesters. I'm just gonna take a knife and just try to get a 2-inch strip. It's probably more, like that. And then we'll add it in the pot. Okay, we're gonna turn it on a medium here. Gotta dissolve this sugar. We are also going to add 1 bay leaf. We're going to take the bay leaf out and we're going to take the lemon out because we need to add these to the jars, not to the simple syrup. So we need to put 1 of these in each jar. So I'm thinking we're going to get 2. So we'll put that in there. Now the recipe also says to add 6 pink and green peppercorns to the jars. I don't have the multicolored peppercorns. I just have plain black. So we're going to put in maybe 4 into each jar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, we'll do 6. We'll just do 6 of the plain black ones. And then we'll get another strip of this lemon peel. Add that in there. Where did I put my bay leaves? Add in there. And then add another 6 peppercorns to here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this sugar's dissolved, so we want to add our pears in here now. I'm thinking we actually might have enough pears to maybe do 3 pints. I'll just stir these in here. So this method that we're doing right now is called hot packing. So if we were going to do the hot pack method for the other pears, we would have put the pears into the simple syrup, heated them up, and then put them in the jars. But we just skipped this step, but I didn't want to skip this step for this because I think it would help to have it kind of marinating in there. So we'll follow this one. So we need to heat these in here for about 5 minutes. I feel like this is boiling. Almost, not quite. And then we also have our sauce back here that I'm keeping an eye on. Starting to reduce a little bit. Full day of canning today. I prefer to get all of these things done in one day. It's so much easier for me, especially being that we're just using the one product like the pears. It is really awesome that I can get these pears preserved 4 different ways today. So we're doing the sauce, we're doing the exotic, we're doing the regular syrup, and then the last thing, we're making some vinegar. Okay, we got 3 minutes. Can we do it in 3 minutes? Let's see. So we need to have 1 tablespoon of sugar for every cup of water we're gonna add in here. So I am gonna measure out my water just so that I make sure I have the right amount of sugar. So this is 2 cups of water. We'll put in 2 tablespoons of sugar. And then I'm thinking we could probably fit, it's almost another cup in there. So we'll add another tablespoon of sugar. This jar is filled way too full. I'm thinking we're gonna have to divide this into 2 jars because you only need to fill it 3/4 of the way full because it will start to foam and bubble and this will bubble over. So we need to get this into a different jar. So we're just gonna put this aside for a minute because this is going to ding in 1 second. Not 1 second, but 30 seconds. And I wanna be prepared when these are ready to go into the jars. Get these off the heat. And we'll actually move our applesauce back to the big burner. Turn it down a little bit. Turn that back burner off. This I probably will need my funnel for. We're gonna take a slotted spoon and we're gonna add the pears into the jar. I'm gonna try to divide them evenly because I don't have a lot of pears in here. And then we are gonna ladle this syrup over top of them. Thinking this would be a really good thing to use as a salad dressing also. You could just immersion blend it and then make a delicious salad dressing with this because it already has the vinegar in it. And then we want to leave 1/2 inch headspace on these. Debubble. My water bath canner has stuff in it that's canning. If I use my countertop canner, I can't just skip right to the hot step. We're gonna have to wait for these to finish water bath canning. Hopefully these will not cool down too much. If they do, then what I might end up doing is dumping the syrup back into this pot, putting it back on the heat and just heating the syrup up and then re-putting it in here because they need to match the water's temperature. So I'm trying to multitask, it's just not working. This jar is clean. I'm just gonna give it a quick rinse. So this is a gallon-sized jar. We are very carefully, without making a mess, going to dump this into here. So we'll add another cup of water. And so we'll have to add another cup of sugar. We could probably actually get another cup of water in here, maybe 2 cups. So we want to have it 3/4 of the way full. So that should be good. Stir it. And so we'll have to add another 2 tablespoons of sugar. We will clean the top part of this. We don't want fruit flies to be attracted to it. And then we'll take a coffee filter, put it on top. So we're gonna leave that in a warm, dark place. So I'm gonna put it in the other room. I have a little nook that I can put it in that doesn't get much sun. So we're gonna leave it sit there for about 2 weeks. We're gonna stir it frequently. Just make sure nothing is looking suspicious on the top of it. It shouldn't, because we have this filter on here. So it's gonna let it breathe, and it's also not gonna let fruit flies and stuff in there. So then after the 2 weeks, we are going to strain all of the scraps from it and then cover it back up and then let it sit for usually another couple of weeks. It says that you should start to smell like a vinegary smell around that 2-week mark. I found it depends on your temperature in your house. Mine, sometimes 4 weeks is like the sweet spot. You can do this with apples. You could do this with strawberries. You could do it with pretty much any fruit discard. It's really good to add to animals' waters. If you like to have kind of more like a kombucha vinegary drink, you can make your own drink with that as well. Just take a shot of that, and it's really good for your gut. So love not throwing stuff out and using everything we have. So we have 10 more minutes to wait for these. We'll get them out, and then we will get the other ones put into there. So the pears are out. I am leaving some of this hot water in here, but I am adding some cold water to it to kind of cool it down a little bit. These jars are still hot, but they are not like boiling hot like this water was. So we need 1/2 inch of sauce in here, and this has settled a little bit, so we need to add a little bit more into here. 1/2 inch headspace, sorry, not 1/2 inch of sauce. And then we will clean the tops off. We're gonna add our lids on. Rings to fingertip tight. This is what they look like. They look super pretty with the lemon in there and the bay leaf. Excited. Put into the water. We're going to bring this back up to a boil. We're going to boil it for 20 minutes. After the 20 minutes, do the same thing. We're going to take it out, let them rest. It is thick enough to my liking, like especially when you stir it. The water is settling to the top, but it is evaporating a little bit. So it's thick enough now, but I need to wait for this canner. So we're just going to leave it on a really, really low heat. And then after that, we'll get that canned up. I was completely naive, and I thought this box of pears will only take me at least a couple of hours to can up. Not the case. It's turning into an all-day thing, but like I said earlier, I'm fine with it because I'm getting that full box of pears done. I'm getting 4 different things on our pantry shelf, which is huge, so we can enjoy them during the winter. I love it. I'm actually really looking forward to having some fruit salad in the winter. I've got my canned peaches. I've got my canned pears now. We've got our canned cherries. It's gonna be amazing. So we're gonna wait for that to finish canning. I'm gonna go and grab a quick bite to eat while that is canning. Once that's done, we will put the jars in there for our applesauce, not applesauce, pear sauce. Pear sauce. We're doing pear sauce. we'll get our pear sauce in there and we'll get that canning, and then today we'll be done. We'll be done our pear projects. I'm happy I got them. I wasn't totally anticipating not even getting any pears from Azure Standard, so when they ended up shipping, I was excited. I thought, okay, I'm gonna get some pears on the pantry shelf, which is awesome. Okay, so I'll be back later. So we are gonna get our big canning marathon day done. Excited. Love canning, but sometimes projects are a little long. Just went on a 5-minute walk around my house trying to find these, and they were literally right in front of me. We are going to put this applesauce into the jars, into our hot jars, and we are going to leave 1/2 inch headspace. I'm going to leave a note in that canning book not to put that much water in with it, because that's why I had to boil it down so long, because we added too much water at the beginning and it did not need to have that much water. I'd say maybe 1 cup of water. Thinking we might need to order another box this month to get a little bit more pear sauce. Or maybe we just say this is what we have and this is what's going to be good enough for the year. I mean, this is better than nothing. I wasn't even planning on doing any of this, so it's a nice treat to be able to can these. So this one we'll just let cool on the counter, and then we'll put that in the fridge. I'm gonna just debubble these, clean the tops off, and then we'll get our lids on. If you've been here for a while, you know what I'm gonna say. We're gonna put our rings on to fingertip tight, and these jars are really hot. This water coming back up to a boil again. And we're gonna check the book for timing. So because we are doing pint-sized jars, we're gonna do 15 minutes. If we were doing quarts, we would do 20 minutes. Then like normal, we'll take it off the heat after the 15 minutes, take the lid off, let it cool down for about 5 minutes, and then we will come and put it on our table here with our other stuff. Yay, we did it. We are finished. It was a long canning day, but I am really glad we did it. Like I said a couple of times already, I'm super happy to get this on the pantry shelf because I was not anticipating having any pears this year. So win-win to the unexpected canning projects. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And thank you so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. I love this community and I love being able to share these fun activities with you guys. So thank you again. And I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're watching this. And I will see you on the next video. Bye guys.